Hello, hello. I'm really delighted today to be joined by Zara. I'm going to let Zara introduce herself, and we've just come on for a good chat about Agile in museums. So, Zara, you wear some amazing hats within museums and heritage. So if you don't mind, give us a quick intro to who you are and what you do.
Okay, I'm Zara Matthews. I'm the director of the Panacea Museum, which is in Bedford. And it's quite an unusual story, but so I encourage people to look it up. I'm also chair of the Museum Managers Network in the East of England, and I'm on the board of trustees for the Cromwell Museum.
Fabulous, fabulous. It's definitely well worth looking up and the work that you guys do and across your network as well. I know I was totally fascinated by it when we worked together. So how did you come across Agile? What sort of led you to Agile initially?
It actually, I used to work for the Arts Council, and you were brought in to help us do some workshops. So that's how I found out about you. I think it was because I was on the team there, and you came in and helped us. I think we were still in the pandemic, so we needed.
Was it
Yeah, it was quite
lockdown,
a
I think?
challenging
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of work
yeah.
out what was going on. And so, yeah, that's how I heard about you. And I think we did some quite a bit of work together with the Museum Managers Network, which is for people who are in charge of small museums in the east of England. Um, and we're quite I think we've got lots of challenges between us. It's museums that don't have an HR department, don't have an IT department, don't have a property department. It's usually the manager is the person who's got to fix it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it was something that the team was looking for project management support. There's quite a few people going through different types of projects, small projects and some quite big capital projects, and we're looking for a methodology that would work with certain IT tools but wouldn't be too complicated. And I thought about the Agile thing, and I thought about, well, I got in touch with you, Belinda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So where did you use it? Like starting with like the Arts Council, if we think about like the different areas. So when you were which team were you on with the Arts Council? Because I
I
worked with
was
quite a few little
in
different teams and it's
I was in cultural property,
yeah.
but I was there only on a temporary contract, so I wasn't there for a huge amount of time. So I think you came in and we did a little bit, and then I got the job here at the Panacea. So
Ah,
this is
brilliant.
where I've used it most.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What sort of things have you used it for with your work? I have to point out your canvas behind you as well. So you have got your agile canvas with your post-it notes as a which I absolutely love in the background. But yeah, where have you used it? Like any of the sort of thinking and tools? Have there been particular areas where you feel like it's been really helpful?
I found one of the most useful things for me is being able to just sit down and write out the post-it notes. So I think particularly I've got a project to refresh all of the graphic displays and things,
Oh,
but
brilliant.
also there's lots of little bits of work that need to happen as well. And it was all a lot of it was sitting in my head, or I had lists and lists of lists. And what I needed was a way to pull it all together into a meaningful structure. um, so I started with now, next, and later, and just,
Yeah.
but with the post-it notes, it was like a brain dump. And it
Yeah.
was just like, let's just write everything down and don't worry about the order and don't worry about how important it is or how many people need to do it or when it needs doing by or any of the things. Just write it down so you've got it, and then start to place the post-it notes in terms of, is it urgent? Is it big? Is it medium? Is it small? Um, yeah, do I need help? Come do it now. All of the things, and then just start. And that was really helpful just to start with, especially
Yeah.
being quite fresh in the role. Um, and now I use it. I suppose I'm a bit more discerning about how I use it. So I sort of move things around a bit more and look at, no, that's all part of that. Actually, that's one project, and this is another project. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
definitely the post-it notes and the canvas.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of, well, I call it like lightening your mental load. So it
Yeah,
is being about, I often say it's sort of painting a picture of what's in my is
yeah,
if, we do say, holding everything in our heads is great, but one, it stops us being able to kind of concentrate on other things, but it also, nobody else can see it either. So
yeah,
if you are
yeah.
working as part of a team or you're collaborating with partners, then having it in your head isn't much value to them. So actually
Mhm.
getting it out and being able to share it and being able to think it through is it's a great I don't say the canvas as the tool, and then you mentioned the kind of urgent, important, and some of those
Yeah,
prioritization tools as well. So do you find yourself like Moscowing things and
I
like the
do
must and
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, more than I think I do. I don't necessarily sit there and go, oh,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I definitely it definitely helps me just think through, do I really need to do it now? Can it wait? If it waits, actually, is it going to get worse?
yeah,
Um, is it nice to have? Is it, the difference between could, would, and should,
yeah,
and
yeah,
or the
yeah,
should and the must, and
yeah,
just go,
yeah,
no, actually, that's health and safety. I have to do it, and I have to do it now.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
actually, this would be really quite nice, but it could wait.
yeah.
So yeah, so I do use it. I wouldn't say I necessarily do call it that, but
No.
yeah, but that sort of hierarchy of yeah, the must, the could, the should, the would like to.
Yeah, I think it's a really nice point that you're making because you can sort of learn the tools, but what I find more often than not is when I speak to people afterwards is like, yeah, okay, sometimes I really sort of use the tool, but other
Mm,
times it's just there now. So
yeah,
it's just the way it's really helped me to think in a different way and act in a different way. So it's not always about the tools, it's sort of the way you're thinking, isn't it? And
yeah,
that kind of like, not everything is urgent, important, and actually being able to classify that and just prioritize things one thing at a time, especially like when you say you've got a project going on with multiple different things, lots of stuff going on. Where do you start? What do you do? It really helps to sort that out, doesn't it?
it really does. And also that thing of I've got so much to do, what am I going to do? It's like, right, pick a post-it.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah,
and sometimes it's almost it doesn't matter which post-it you're picking. It's just like pick out, right, let's do something that will either finish it or move it forwards, or put it in the I can't do it bit. So I can't remember. Yeah, it's that you've got like a holding section on your canvas, haven't you?
waiting
That
bit,
there's
yeah,
the waiting bit. And it's like, actually, I can't do this because that's fine. I've got a place to put it. So yeah, so just sort of grabbing something and going, okay, let's do something. And putting it in the waiting section is okay.
yeah, because you can park it then as well, and you
Yeah.
don't lose sight of it because
No, it's
I
not gone
find that.
away.
Yeah, it's like I'll start something and then you can't do anything more. So you kind of park it and then you move on to the next thing, and it's really easy to lose sight of it. Whereas in the waiting box, you can put it in there and then, I generally have a bit of a kind of try and once a sprint, work through my waiting, go through it
Mhm.
and just make sure that nothing's going into sort of hibernation or archive. But some
Yeah.
stuff does get archived, but other stuff,
Yeah.
is comes back
Yeah.
round.
And
So,
sometimes the moment passes. Sometimes you get to a
yeah,
point where it's actually it's yeah, it was it I thought perhaps it wasn't time limited, but actually it was, and the moment has passed and the world has turned, and it doesn't matter that we're not going to do it now. So we can kind of like move it on. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really good point. And do you find, because I find, like you say, like pick a post-it note, and often, like if you've got something big, it's like that, what's one little small thing that I can do? So
Mm,
what's something I can do? Just, I
yeah.
mean, I'm doing a talk in a couple of weeks, and I keep thinking I need to put the slides together for it. I need to, but I've written my notes, and then I've started to collate some of the stuff that I want to put on the slide. So I haven't done the whole thing. I've just
Yeah.
started those little things that then
Mm,
help to build up a bit of momentum because,
yeah.
the idea of doing it all at once, it's just not going to happen. It needs to kind of evolve. It needs to go from an idea and then have a bit of structure. And I mean, even that, I post-it note, like, what do I want to include in my talk,
Yeah,
and then reorder them and like, oh, okay, I can add this and have I got time for that? And I'll have little
yeah,
timings on them. So
yeah,
I find it so versatile, and I'm definitely a post-it note fan.
yeah.
Have you used
Oh,
any?
can I just add
Oops,
in,
oh, go on, yeah.
Belinda? Um, Absolute game changer, how to peel your post-it notes so that they don't curl up. It was just that was the first thing I came back to the office and said, we're peeling our post-it notes wrong. This is how you need to do it. So yeah, that
I
absolute
should
game changer.
I should try and do that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like it
just
is like
take
right.
it from the side.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
peel it from the
brilliant.
bottom, it curls and then it goes all funny when oh, my hand-eye coordination's gone wrong, but you can see it curling there. Whereas when you peel it from the side, it doesn't curl. And it's yeah, it makes me smile whenever I do, especially when I'm doing like the hands-on workshops. So many people are like, "That's a game changer. That's such a game changer," and it just stops things falling off. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny how those little things though, aren't they, that
Mm.
can be like limiting, because people have said to me, like, oh, I don't like using post-its because they always fall off, and I'm like, well, how are you peeling them? So
Yeah,
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 oh, that's
yeah.
like yeah. I was just sort of, have you tried out any of the like digital tools? Have you really stuck with the post-its?
I've stuck with the post-its. I have previously used Trello a bit. Um, but I find that a lot of the people, especially here, we're still quite analog.
Yeah,
And so the way that we work here, actually having something physically written down works better for us.
yeah,
It's just more visual. So if somebody pops into my office, it's sort of immediately apparent what I've got going on, which I find really helpful. So yeah, I think I know other teams that have used things like Trello and found them really good but everybody is sort of IT literate and very comfortable using kind of the tech and wants to use the tech. Whereas for us here, yeah, the physical act of writing things down it works better.
yeah, yeah. And I think if you are all in the same place, then you can. And
Yeah,
we've lost that, haven't we? But museums is all about visibility and tactile, and
yeah,
yeah, so it totally makes sense that you would
yeah,
echo that through to actually how you're running the business. And
yeah.
it's yeah, and working with the team. Do you find it good, like you to say about people coming in and being able to see what you're doing? Do you find it useful for kind of collaborating and sharing and that sort of side of things?
Yes, it does help because I think the fact that people can just see what there is, it
Yeah,
does help. Working in a small team, so there's me and one other person who sort of do the back office stuff, and then everybody else is front of house. So
yeah,
there's not very many of us to be working on things, but what we do is we share the language. So
yeah,
particularly sharing the language of the now, next, later, it's waiting, it's urgent, we've done it,
yeah,
we're doing evaluation. So that kind of thing, that's been really useful.
yeah,
And I think just thinking about that canvas, because I do love my canvas, I love it very much, um, is the done section. Just having somewhere to go, look at all the stuff I've done. So every now and again, I'll collect up all the post-it notes and they will go in the bin. But yeah, just being able to see all of the stuff that's been done, it just kind of help because otherwise it's just like, "Whoa." But yeah, so yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I totally with that, because I think prior, when I think back prior to, me adopting Agile, you'd write a list and then you'd write another list and another list, and you never really stop to go, oh, I've done all that.
yeah,
Whereas, and so we kind of lose sight of the done, so because we're so quick to move on to the next thing. So it
yeah,
is nice. And, I have weeks where I feel like, oh, I've got nothing done this week. And then I'll look at my post-it notes and go, actually, I have got a lot done. Maybe it wasn't what I planned to do,
Yeah.
Right, I have got lots done, and then be able to use that as a bit of a reflection point of, well, why didn't I get that plan stuff done? What
Yeah.
happened? Do I need to reorganize? But yeah, that, and there is definitely, I've had some really interesting conversations recently around neurodiversity as well,
Hmm.
and the kind of dopamine and things like that,
Yeah.
and how moving something into done gives you a real buzz, and
Mm.
then sort of builds that momentum for
Yeah.
the next one and the next one, and having that visibility. So I find that really fascinating because, Agile in its origin was built for very, I mean, like rational, logical thinking,
Hmm.
whereas, using it within more of a creative space, it
Hmm.
just lends itself so beautifully. And
Mm.
actually, I kind of almost want to say that I find it works better in creative spaces because it
Yeah.
really echoes the sort of values and the beliefs that are driven by purpose, and,
Yeah.
and that openness and transparency that people kind of really want within the sector. And this
Yeah.
lends itself to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as well, particularly with the sector, we have to be fleet of foot because
Yeah.
stuff changes around us all of the time. And some of that is just the nature of working with the public. You have to be able to turn and meet other people's agendas all the time because you don't know who's going to come in and what they're going to need today. And yeah, you might think that you're going to do something this year and have it all planned out, but there'll be a pandemic or something, something else will happen. So you do have to be able to sort of pivot and turn things quite quickly without losing that creativity and without losing sort of the end point.
Yeah.
And I
And
think this works really well for that.
Yeah, and without making it feel like it's a bad thing, changing our
Yeah.
minds, evolving things, not
Yeah.
knowing,
Yeah.
like we don't know what we don't know, and that's okay. We're
Yeah.
learning, and
Yeah.
actually having a method that lends itself to that and leans into that rather than the, no, you need to have a big upfront plan, you need to have
Yeah.
everything mapped out, and then when you actually launch something it doesn't land as well as you
It's yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
then you want to change it, and it makes it okay to change it. And I think that is a really powerful kind of positivity. So it's kind of turning that, it's the old, it's not a failure, it's not a mistake, it's learning. It really
Yeah.
helps to kind of make that so that we're not feeling, I know it makes me feel better anyway, and that it's okay to try something and try it again and try it again, and iterate it and build it
Yeah.
over time rather than expect it to get it right first time as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what it does. It does allow for that learning where you're not sort of throwing everything away because it didn't work the first time, therefore we're never ever going to do it again. It's about stopping and thinking and going, well, actually, this bit worked. This
Yeah,
bit didn't work because maybe we got the timing wrong, or maybe it was too small scale, or maybe we went in too high, and or whatever. But yeah, I think it allows for learning, and I think it's that positivity around
yeah,
just going, okay, so we can't do what can we do instead?
yeah,
And it gets
yeah,
you to think in a more positive frame of mind about, well, what is there? If
yeah,
if that direction of travel, we thought we were on this road and we were going to see these sites, but now we're not. What are we going to do instead? That
yeah,
still achieves the same aim. And I think it does work really well with positive thinking and just sort of being a bit more proactive and yeah, feeling a bit more perhaps in control of things when it because sometimes things can be quite chaotic.
yeah,
I think particularly in our sector because there's so much outside of our control a lot of the time. You can feel a bit like I don't know which way to turn, and this way it's kind of okay that the
yeah.
system allows for it.
What's the next little step? Just that
Yeah,
little step, and don't let it become overwhelming.
yeah,
And some of the techniques, I was running a workshop last week, and we were talking lots about Pareto, like the 80/20 and the minimum
yeah,
viable, and
yeah,
like and they were sort of saying, well, we're always limited on time, we're always limited on resources, so actually this is a really nice way because often we
yeah,
haven't got a choice.
yeah,
It's not a choice. We literally only have 20% of the money that we would like to have. We only have 20% of the people or the
Yeah.
the money available. Therefore, what can we do with that? What's the best thing
Yes.
that we can do with that? And then build on it and prove and validate that, because funding is often driven by that as well, isn't it? Is like, you
Yeah.
do something well, you'll get more funding, so
Yeah.
the quicker you can do something well, the more likely you are to get. And
Yeah.
I think those shortest funding cycles, the things that those sort of changes, that the shifts that we've seen since the pandemic, where previously you were getting 4 or 5 years funding for an entire organization. Now it's 1 year funding, 2 year funding for a specific project. So we're juggling more things, we've got
Mm.
different projects at different stages, so we've got to be more adaptable, we've got to be able to juggle rather than just spin one plate, we're spinning 10 plates. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's well, I feel like, so I was going to say about what's your favorite tool or your concept. You've mentioned quite a few, but what's one of the ones that really resonated and has stuck with you? Because you've been doing it for a few years now. So
Yeah.
is there a bit of a,
Um, Um, I like I think actually overall it's the concept. So as much as I love the post-it notes and the canvas, which I do use, as you can see, all of the time, and I do find very, very useful. I think it's that concept, and it was what we were just talking about in terms of it does what it says on the tin. It is agile,
yeah,
and it gives you permission to move around almost. It recognizes that that's what we have to be and that's what we have to do. So I think probably my biggest takeaway is actually the agility of it
yeah,
or the
yeah,
flexibility of it.
yeah.
Yeah,
And being able to change that mindset and that thinking, I think
yeah,
people really, it feels like a weight lifted, or a breath of fresh air, or a, these
yeah.
are some of the, sorry, some of the things. I know I've got a lovely post-it note on my wall where I do feedback on post-it notes, and it says part learning, part therapy. And it's one of my favorite bits of
Yeah,
feedback, because it's, yeah, like so many people say, oh, like you were saying right at the beginning, you get the stuff out of your head, you start to organize it, and suddenly it feels like you've got that perspective, you can see things more clearly, and then you can start to just address them one by one, rather than it just being this whole huge thing coming at
yeah,
you. Oh, it's
yeah.
brilliant. And have you applied it out of work or any other areas? Do you find yourself using it?
I do use it a bit at home. I mean, perhaps don't tell my family I use it on them, but I do. Yeah,
Brilliant.
because I think it's just, it's just life, isn't it? Life is a little bit uncertain and things are constantly changing. And I've got teenagers, so they're constantly doing things, but sometimes they need me and sometimes they don't. And they did need me last week for the thing, but they won't next week. And so it is sort of shuffling things around all the time and making sure that me and my husband know where we're supposed to be and when we're supposed to be there. And the cat went to the vet okay, and all of the life. So
Yeah.
I don't have a campus at home, but I think I do apply the mindset.
And I think again, it's coming back to that, like, once you've learnt some of the tools, then you find that you don't necessarily need to do the practical tools, because the way of thinking's there.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned teenagers, and one of my favorite sessions I did, which was quite a few years ago now, but I had a group of, it was basically, I ran a workshop. Somebody on the workshop was like, could we use this for study and revision? And I was like, yeah. And so she went, would if I, and so she managed to basically collate, like, what was it, about a dozen teenagers, year 9, 10
All right.
students. And I did an agile workshop with them, and it was 3 hours. And all the parents were a bit like, "Ooh, that's a long time." And I broke it up and we got really practical, and they loved it. They really, really loved it. And there was something there that was like, teenage brain, very chaotic. This tool helping them to structure
Yeah.
that and give them a bit. But yeah, they were totally blown away that, like, they were like, I
Mm.
don't know how you've kept my kids' attention for 3 hours. That's totally unheard of. And it was like, well, they all went away with study plans and revision plans and tactics and things like that. And it was
Mm.
absolutely brilliant. And it was, again, yeah, we had the post-it notes out playing with them, but it was more of that mindset and trying to lean into it. So I think, I would love to see it taught in schools. I really would. I'd love to see it kind of as that kind of time management, organising, having that visibility, being self-organising and self-managing
Yeah,
as well, and taking that responsibility.
yeah.
I think is really great. And that reminds me as well, what you said, and I was going to ask you about, you said about when you did the agile training and then moved to the Panacea. Did it
Mhm.
help you with starting a new job? Did you use it for that at all?
Yes, I did. I did. Um, I did it slightly differently. I think I got a whiteboard, just a little
Yeah.
whiteboard. Actually, I can show it because I've still got it. I've got a little whiteboard
Oh, yay.
that I just sort of wrote things down just to try and help because there'd been quite a gap between me and my predecessor. So there was quite a lot, and also there'd been quite a few changes here as well. So there was a lot. It wasn't just moving into a new job, it was also the organization had changed a bit as well. So there was a lot to think about and a lot to try and prioritize and work out where where I needed to put myself first
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what needed to follow. So yeah, I did use it. I would say I used it a bit to start
Yeah.
with, just
Yeah.
just to help
Yeah.
organize my thoughts.
Just to keep
And
track.
and
And
yeah,
yeah.
it works. I find it works really well for me in terms of
Yeah.
organizing my thoughts and trying to get things sort of okay, push it forward and yeah,
Yeah.
unsticking the things that have got a bit stuck.
Yeah, yeah, and giving that, yeah, it's I've had that feedback quite a lot as well, in that when people start a new job, it's really helpful for kind
Mm,
of getting your head around where, once you've done it a few times, you know it, but when you're
yeah,
first doing it, or somebody and people are throwing various things at you, oh, here's this thing that you need to do, here's that thing that you need to do, here's this
yeah,
form, here's that there, and just capturing them on post-it notes and
yeah,
having that, being able to create those patterns almost and those
yeah,
structures so that you can
yeah.
work it out and take it again that sort of little bit at a time. Oh,
I did
brilliant.
I did think actually what was really helpful was when we had that follow-up session with the museum managers network,
Yeah,
being in a room with another group of managers but with
so good.
similar roles, that although it was refresher training for me, it
Yeah,
was so useful to be in that environment and just to be sitting there with each other's projects and thinking about things, just seeing how other people were thinking about things and how it worked. And that really worked. And that was really gave me the impetus to go, no, I do need to use this and it does work for me. So
yeah.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, there was such a lovely buzz in the room as well, and
Yeah,
I could see that it was helping to build those stronger relationships as well between the different museums. To say,
yeah,
there was an element I felt, just sort of thinking back, of like there were definite moments where somebody would share something, and then the rest of the room would go, "Oh, that's me as well," and there was
yeah,
almost this kind of relief that, I'm not alone. These aren't
yeah,
challenges that I'm dealing with. It's not just me. And
mm,
I remember one of the ladies who'd done her board, and she was just like, I've just got too much going on.
yeah,
And being able to take that back to the trustees and basically show it to them so that
yeah,
they could understand the workload that she was under and what
yeah,
she was trying to, what she was saying, but it wasn't really going, landing, that actually she had some way of showing them to be able to do. But yeah, there was such a lovely boat, and the boat exercise when we did that as well, which
yeah,
was really nice. And it was
yeah,
those shared challenges and those shared things were really, yeah, really
yeah,
good. It was, I think it definitely helps to bring teams together. I think that's one of the lovely, and like when I run my
mm,
monthly workshops, almost every time there'll be like a follow-up conversation. So I really
hmm,
encourage, like, because you'll cross paths with people that you wouldn't ordinarily
yeah,
cross paths with. And I know
hmm,
that they've had conversations and had collaborations and things afterwards. So it's really nice to give that kind of shared language almost
yeah,
and shared way of working, so that it's yeah, oh gosh, I could talk for, yeah, I could keep,
uh,
I'm sort of resisting asking extra questions
I
if I
tell you
can.
one thing I do like when we're talking about language is the language used it for Agile is quite straightforward.
Yeah.
So once upon a time, I was a Prince 2 practitioner.
Oh yeah.
And instead, here we talk about filing. and making sure your files are all properly numbered, properly labeled, and in the proper place. Well, in Prince 2, it's configuration management, so and I think that one of the things that works really well with Agile is that I can use the language of it with people who are not trained in it, and
Yeah.
they understand what I mean. They don't think I'm being silly. Whereas if you use some of the project management techniques I've been talking in the past, it only applies if you've been on the course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you
Yeah.
go back to your place of work, start talking the speak from that course, and everybody's like, really? So yeah, so I do think,
Kid.
Agile calls it
And
what
I
it
was
is.
a kid. Yeah, it's all very wordy, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
very wordy, very document heavy. I think
Mhm.
that's the other thing that people really love about it is it's quite a nice light. It's not
Yes.
it's not a heavy, it never feels heavy to me. It feels quite
No.
light. So it
And
doesn't
it
feel.
works if you pull out bits of it.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
that bit, so if the ship bit works for you, but the canvas doesn't, that's fine.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
just do
yeah,
that bit. Or if the t-shirts work for you, use them.
yeah, yeah.
It just pick out the bits that work for you, and it works. Yeah, you
So
don't have to
I
use all
do
of it.
I do say so often in my training, like when I do the Pareto, I use the example of that and say, for example, 20% of what you're learning on this course is going to be the most valuable. There's going to be 20% of this that gives you
Yeah.
80% value that you can take away, you'll start using straight away. I had some ladies on the course last week before, and they work in education, and they were at the point of doing review and evaluation, and they
Hmm.
had a review and evaluation meeting afterwards, and they took the boat exercise.
Oh,
So they
brilliant.
took the boat exercise, they did the boats, and she sent me photos afterwards, and she was like, we had the most brilliant conversations. It really opened up the
Hmm.
conversations. We spoke about things that I really didn't expect to come up. And yeah, so the positivity of that, and it's like, well, then it's worth it, isn't it, for that
Mm.
one thing that you can then really get that
Yeah.
value out of. And also you can adapt it as well. So I'm always encouraging people to kind of adapt it and hack it and evolve it and make it
Yeah.
your own, because we all work differently. So it's not like again, sort of, if you compare it to like Prince, it's a bit thou shalt, isn't it? And this is the
Yeah.
way you do it, and if you don't do it this way, then it's wrong. And
Yeah.
whereas Agile, I feel it's a bit like, well, here's a suggestion, here's some
Yeah.
guidelines, and then you tweak it to make it fit for you, and that's okay. So
Yes.
it's, yeah, yeah. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. It's so my final sort of question was around like if if what sort of challenges, I guess, are there any challenges that other people might be experiencing where you would say, you know what, go and have a look at Agile, have a look into this Agile, because I think that will help. What sort of some of the problems or challenges that you think it um
I'd say for anybody, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, if you feel like you've just got too much on,
yeah,
carve out a little bit of time just to get it all down and put it into some, and use this as a way of working out what you really have to do and what can wait.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I don't think it really matters whether it's at work or at home or somewhere in between. It's just it's a really simple, at a basic level, you can use it as a simple tool just to unpick your thoughts and help you
yeah,
deal with. So if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, I would say definitely give it a go.
yeah.
Just for the sake of a few post-it notes and a chart, just
Have a play. Yeah. And
have
I've
a
made,
go, see
so
if it helps.
I have made it so that now people can download the planner. So there's like a
Oh,
Blue
brilliant.
Peter
Mm.
styly printer home. So you can print out 8 A4 sheets, stick them together, and you make a canvas. So
Yeah.
people can actually play with it for free. So you can
Mhm.
just have a little play, and
Yeah.
then and then yeah, once you've had a little play and you're like, oh, this is helpful, then that kind of give you a bit of a taster to then
Yeah.
move do the course or have a team
Yeah.
workshop or
And
something like
and I
that.
think
It's
there is something, you talked about team working and stuff, that you've then got a physical thing you can share with somebody else.
yeah,
So even if it's just one person that you trust, or whether it's a friend or whatever, you can then just go, okay, I'm stuck. I've got all of this,
yeah,
and then you
yeah,
can work it through with somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it works on
That
you can make it work on a really small scale.
Yeah, that reminds me again, somebody said the other day, when we were talking about like the mindset and the approach of
Mm.
doing things, and she said that she was creating a report, and it was the mindset game and the delaying things until they're completely ready.
Hmm.
And she was like, actually, I was trying to get this report perfect, but in the end, I kind of resigned myself and sent it out to a couple of colleagues for some feedback. And she said, I'm so glad I did because the report is 100 times better for it.
Yeah,
So actually, no, I'm not sharing it out to the world, but I am sharing it with a few trusted colleagues that then can give
yeah.
me that feedback that allows me to, because sometimes you get caught in I know I do anyway, is I get caught in a
Hmm.
loop and I have to talk about it in order to kind of
Hmm.
take me forward with it. So I think, and like you say as well, is it's not necessarily something that, you need to use all the time for everything. You
Mm.
can use it as like a little one-off exercise, just,
Hmm.
a bit like when I was saying about planning the talk, I've sat down with the post-it notes and
Yeah,
mapped it out. So you can use it very agile in that sort of flexible kind of
yeah.
way. It's not yeah, you can let it take over and use it for everything, but
But you don't
actually,
have to. Yeah.
no, not
And I
everything
think
needs
as
to.
well, that just thinking about the t-shirt exercise where you look at how big something is. Sometimes it's helpful if you've got a really big thing and it is a triple XL to actually visualize that and just go, yeah, it is a really big thing. I've got this huge thing I've got to do or deliver or produce and recognize that.
Recognizing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then when you start to break down all the little tasks that go into it, you can I think there is something it validates whatever anxiety you might have for it or the feelings of just like, oh wow, that's going to be really big and expensive and it's going to take a long time, but you can actually call it what it is.
yeah. You can give that, it gives you that perspective, doesn't it? To be able to
Mm.
kind of step back from it and go, yeah, actually, this is big.
Yeah.
And and I think naturally as humans, we tend to underestimate. I think if we were like, I often think if I actually recognize how long it was actually going to take, I might not ever start it. So my brain will automatically like make it feel, yeah. Whereas actually, you get that perspective and then you go, okay, right, this is a big thing. That's okay. What to break it down? Where am I going to start? What's the first thing to
Mm.
do rather than think about that? It's that sprints and marathons metaphor, isn't it? Yeah, this is
Mm.
a big marathon ahead, but actually, let's take it one step at a time, one little sprint at a time,
Yeah.
and we'll get there and we can stop and catch our breath and see how we're getting on and that again takes that pressure off a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I'm so pleased to hear it's going so well and it's been so useful because it is, often I meet teams and we do a session or two and then I always try and stay connected, but it's just always nice to reconnect and hear how things are working and how they've spread as well and being used in different areas or, people picking up on things. So it's brilliant. Thank you so much. Um,
No.
is there anything else in you, that you want to share, or should we? It's,
Oh, I think that's it.
yeah,
That feels
yeah,
like quite a
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
You have, yeah. We've covered loads, actually. We've covered really loads, and it's really nice, and also to hear it used in different contexts as well. So from like the Arts Council, which is obviously one perspective, but then the museum itself, but then the
Yeah.
network as well, and also
Yeah.
using it in other areas. So it's just so lovely to hear that you've been able to use it again and again and it's gone with you. It's not been
Yeah.
something that you've left behind. It's actually been, and I'd hope that it
Yeah.
helps you juggle all these different roles as well. I know it helps me keep
Mm.
that perspective of juggling different roles, wearing
Yeah.
different hats, and again giving that kind of that's okay,
Hmm.
that I can't work on that today because I'm working on this. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, as you said before, do if you're watching this, do look up the Panacea, because it is brilliant. And always go and visit if you're in that area. It's I should probably
Yep.
encourage my aunt actually. She's up near you, and
All
she
right.
likes that sort of thing. So I should probably steer her in that direction. I think
Yeah.
she's moved a bit. She's moved recently, and I think she's a bit closer to you now. So, but I can never remember the name of the little village. But
Oh.
that's a tangent. But
Well,
thank
I can promise a unique experience.
yes, yes, and a very agile one as well. So,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. Thanks so much, Zara. You've been an absolute star. And oh, I should probably add at the end as well is if you're watching this and you'd like to find out more, then please do feel free to reach out. Look me up, beingagile.co.uk, but you should be able to find that through the video and things. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out and chat more. Right. Brilliant. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good to see you again, Belinda.